If you notice, Tammy's not here. As you know, you saw the letter she sent out to everybody, and we have lost Tammy. She's got a permanent job. We got happy for her, because ours was just temporary. Her job now is permanent. She's working at the Jacobson nursing home over there for our veterans, so that's where she's at, in case you ever run in over there. If this here with us today, then I need a roll call.
William Mateo.
Here.
Catherine Arians. Jim Brown.
Here.
Thomas Conroy.
Here.
William Dryberg.
Here.
Paula Hess. Here. John Hitzel.
Here.
Julie Mathis. Here. Donald McCormick.
Here.
Jerry O'Halloran.
Here.
Thomas Rice.
Here.
W. Kevin Russell.
Here.
Thomas Thornberry.
Here.
Stephen Vieira.
Here.
Frank Weigel.
Here.
Raymond Cochran. John Davidson.
Here. Very good. Citizens' input. Remarks be related to the charter be limited to 5 minutes and shall be addressed to the commission as a body, not the individual members. There will be no, or there will not be any discussion. Are there any citizens who would like to address this board?
I would.
Please step up, state your name.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Zarzano, American Freedom Farm. I represent a citizens activist organization, and we seek to offer oversight to the citizens of Charlotte County regarding their government. I've spoke to you before about some ideas that we were advocating you consider and hopefully adopt. One of them is the County Congress, or the Zip Code Congress. It would really facilitate your jobs following through with your duties. If you were to have a group of citizens, self-appointed, self-sustained, offering their expertise to you and their knowledge to you for free. They could be appointed, or they could be selected by their peers within their zip code, their neighborhood. There are many people in this county that have knowledge and understanding that would be of great value to government. And if they could help you in an organized, systematic, parallel fashion, parallel meaning parallel government to the county government of Charlotte in relation to zip codes, I think it would be a great benefit to you. And we would be happy to help create a website that would foster this activity and promote it, and we would do this free of charge as our organization's dedicated to creating virtue in government. This is something that has been lost due to the growth of the population and the size of government. It sometimes gets lost in its own bureaucracy. And this would be a revolutionary idea. And we targeted Charlotte and Sarasota County for specific reasons. We felt that this was an ideal area of the country to start such an idea, a county congress, a zip code congress. And eventually we hope to take this model throughout the state of Florida and eventually the nation, because the people are demanding redress of grievance. There are many areas of government that the people are not being served. The veterans are the number one. If you remember the flyer that I passed out to all of you, the United States County Congress flyer, you will see that we're dedicated first and foremost to United States veterans, and then we hope to take the idea elsewhere to other parts of the community. But we are targeting initially the veteran for obvious reasons. But I hope you consider this idea, if not now, maybe the next time. But I've given you my information. Not any one of you have contacted me about this idea. I had hoped that at least one or two would, but nobody did. So that's not a good sign, but we will keep trying, and I wish you the best.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the commission? Is there anyone else that wishes to address the commission? Is there anyone else that wishes to address the commission? All right. All of you have been emailed the February minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
Move approval, Hess.
Second. By Frank Michael. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Also, you should have just picked up or mailed to you also the expenses for this time period. If you notice, we're right on track, looking really good, right within the lines we're supposed to be. Can I have an approval of those expenses?
So moved.
Second. So moved. Second by Tom Rice. All right, very good. Any discussion?
Just a question, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chair. With Tammy leaving, are we still paying for administrative services?
No, Jeff, that's a great question. Are you being paid by administration or are
I
we?
believe it's being divided. My time here will be charged to administration, but I am a community development.
Yeah, so we might give it a little bit of break on that one, I think. Good question.
So she's getting paid twice?
It's not Chicago.
Can I have a motion? We have the motion, though. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Under old business regarding the exemption of the churches, what did you find out, Ron?
I did find a section in Sarasota County that did have an exemption of churches. That was from 1972, and it hasn't been changed since that time. I remain of the opinion that you could not simply bring out churches. You would have to go with all not-for-profit organizations. Thank you.
Any questions?
Mr. Barrington, is there any way that within the individual taxing district, which has an advisory board, that it can be left up to the advisory board and the people within that district whether or not they want to tax nonprofits?
Well, ultimately, it's the Board of County Commissioners acting as the board for that district, but they could certainly make a recommendation as to that, and they could see what the benefits are. In looking at Sarasota, checking through various of their special districts that they have, the one from 1972 said all lands within the district owned by any church or church denomination that is used for holding services would not be assessed. There was another district that was set up, and it said basically it assessed all non-governmental real property. So it excluded governmental real property there. And then there was another one that was based on all taxable real and tangible personal property. So there's a number of different ways the various ones were set up, but it really is some of them made sense to exclude certain types of properties, depending on if it's a lighting district or if it's a street and drainage district or if it's a sanitation district. So it really is pretty unique to each one as it's set up. And there's nothing that would prohibit the county currently from doing the same type of thing as they looked at ones in the future here.
Yeah, because in some taxing units, there may not be a church or a 501(c)(3). In others, there may be several, so it would have a great impact upon the income from that district. So it could, you're telling me, though, that it could be left up to the individual.
As each district is established,
Okay,
it
so-
can be established at that time.
Yes.
Rob, did it define church?
Not in this particular one. And again, it's from 1972. I'm not even sure if it's an active district anymore.
Right.
Is there any, can I ask,
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
anything related to 501(c)(3)s?
I did not come across that specifically, but it did talk about taxable properties in one. So if a property was not taxable, if it was a 501(c)(3) or a church, type property, that would have excluded it in that one. So, but again, they're unique to each district that's set up, and I think the commission would have the authority to do that. I did not, there's hundreds and hundreds of different districts, and I thought I got a fair representation in just looking at Sarasota County because someone had mentioned that churches were there, and I did in fact find specifically churches. Ironically, in that one, it also excluded lands owned and under the jurisdiction of any community association and any condominium or subdivision that was reported. So, I mean, it was a pretty wide exclusion. I mean, if you start excluding subdivisions, you don't have many things left in there. So, That was my research.
Well, our committee just asked for research into it because it came from a citizen, and I see that it's on the citizen's agenda to discuss. So now we have the information on which to base our decision.
All right, and the new business, what I'd asked Tammy to do was, with my input and from Rob, to list everything pretty much that we've gotten from citizens and from y'all, and on these sheets that are in front of you now, and also to allow some lines underneath there if you need to jot down some notes or something as we went along with this. What I'd like to do, we have a full body here today, if we got 8 votes, 7 plus 1, half plus 1, then we'd actually take that item up. If not, then we would move on, if that's all right with y'all.
Mr. Chairman, I was going to suggest, sort of along the same lines, in keeping with this C2 that is in our charter, we may adopt rules in the proceedings as we deem desirable. And I offer that for efficiency and order, in hearing the committee recommendations, that we could adopt Robert's rules in which the committee recommendation is actually a motion. It doesn't need a second because it comes from a committee. Then the committee presents its rationale about why they decided to make that recommendation. And then that's followed by discussion, debate in the body, and then an up and down vote, which is the same thing that you're speaking of.
Sure. Are we okay with that? Tom?
Yeah.
Well, that's the motion. Therefore, I'll make the motion that we adopt Robert's Rules of Order only for the hearing of the subcommittee recommendations, not for the citizens, because they're not motions. These will be motions.
Correct. Any discussion on that?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, very good. All of good stuff. Yeah, Tom?
So let's walk through the timeline. So we go through the recommendations today. We have, and so we'll come up with a slate. Those get recommendations. Those get published, and there's public hearing. Does this body have opportunities to make any changes to those recommendations then after the public hearings?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I was hoping to do was, which we've been, Rob and I have been discussing timelines, what I wanted to do today was obviously go through as many as we could probably get through today, and then also have our next meeting to finalize that list. Then we'll have the charrettes in May, the 3 charrettes, there are 3 public hearings, one in Punta Gorda, one in Port Charlotte, and one in Inglewood. And most of the times that's our problem around setting those is the availability of the spaces that we can have on each. That will drive it. Most of them will be in the afternoon, so we can get it done. But then I want to meet back again in June, then for us to look at this list and make any changes that we think need to be made or whatever. And there might be something that crops up too out there when we visit with the residents, the citizens, that tells us, hey, we missed something that we need to look at. So we would do that in June. In July, we would finalize the actual report, and I think we have to give it to the commission, in July or August, isn't it?
The county commission does not meet in August, so we have to have our final report and ballot questions to the county commission by their July 2nd meeting, which I believe is July 28th.
Right.
I might contribute, it could happen the opposite too in the public hearings, because we had a ballot question, and the people told us they didn't like it, so we went through it.
Sure. I mean, but that's what that meeting would be then in June, and then Tammy did a lot of research for us, put together portions of that final document, so they're already there. We just, Beth and I need to plug them in, and Rob plug in the stuff that needs to be plugged in, and then we'll be ready to go to the county commission.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, if over this meeting and the next meeting we get the list of those that we're going to propose for amendments, then I would draft the ballot language, and we would have the ballot language available for the public hearings. So you would have the actual ballot questions that the public would give input on. Obviously, they can give input on any matter that would come before the charter, but you have the specific questions, and then after those public hearings, you would either vote to ratify that entire slate or to remove something from that slate of changes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm the secretary of the group who drew the report for the chairman to sign, and prepared to explain the substance of our first